Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 416th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Straight away you'll see this is an unusual map. This is called the Greek Shore map. Okay, and you can see it's a hilly map, which is very unusual for us to play on. Now if you look at Team 2's disadvantage here, you can see that Team 2 are on the bottom of the hill. And if you see how steep this hill is, you can see what a disadvantage that Team 2 has in comparison to us. Now remember, with a hill advantage, our pilers will go further and do more damage, our arrows will go further and do more damage, and we'll have a nice downhill charge bonus as well for both our infantry and cavalry. Okay, so Team 1 has got a big advantage on this Greek Shore map because obviously you're at the top of the hill there. Okay, so when the game starts and Team 2 sees looks up the hill there, they're probably going to think what an advantage that Team 1 has got. As you can see the steepness here of the hill, so you can see that there's a lot of advantages here for Team 1 and Team 2. Look up that hill and think what kind of what insurmountable odds they're up against here. Okay, so I wanted to host on this map because years ago the Brotherhood used to play on this map a lot, and we had some tactics and strategies to actually play on this hill. Okay, as I say, it's a very unfair map, but Team 2, if Team 2 wants to, they can go down to this part of the map, which is a lot flatter. Can you see how flat this part of the map is down here? So Team 2 goes in. There's a gentle slope maybe, but if Team 2 wanted to, they could form up down here, and they could fight down here where it's a lot more, if you like, even. As you say, you haven't got this big steep hill to fight up. So this is a good part of the map to fight to if you want to fight on even ground. In fact, you could just go down there and just say to Team 1, come on you campers, come down here and fight. But as I say, on the face of it, this map is very, very unfair. Okay? But there's more to this map than meets the eye. Now, just say that years ago I was in a battle on this map, and let's just have a look at the hill. Can you see the hill that that we're on? It's a really wide and deep hill. Can you see what I mean by deep? It goes a long way up and across, and it's very difficult for armies to garrison this hill completely in a way they may want to. You can see the hill is the steepest part up this end and gradually tails off down towards the other end. But as I say, it's a really big hill there, and it's difficult for a team to be able to garrison correctly. Now years ago we played on this map, and this is a battle that stays in my mind, maybe from 8, 9 or 10 years ago, because we were 100% expected to lose this battle. And I remember this battle because my teammates were Brotherhood member Spearman, Brotherhood member Apple, and Brotherhood member Kendi. And we were on this map, and we were Team 2, and we were up against 4 clan members. Okay, and I remember there was 2 of them were wolves, and there was 2 other clan members there, and they obviously hosted on this map because they thought that it was going to be 100% win. But that's why this battle stays in my mind so much, because we actually went on to win this battle. Now remember, I'll put my army right on that line there. Okay, now bearing in mind we've played on this map before, so we've got strategy for fighting on this hill, and Spearman put his army right on the line there. Okay, now you might be able to see what we're planning on doing here right from the beginning of the battle. Now when the battle opens, what we were guessing is that the team would pull together centrally. You know, like most 4v4 teams, they run over and they form up in the center. So what I did was I waited for that team in front of me to move over as far as I wanted it to move, and then I ran full tilt up this hill with my infantry and cavalry. Okay, and as my infantry ran up the hill there, I was stopping my cavalry every so often, facing the enemy to make sure there was no cavalry charges into my infantry as I was moving. Spearman joined me as well, so we both ran up this part of the hill to get above the enemy. Okay, so we were going to take the ground advantage here by running up there, and while the other team was forming up in the center. Now of course the moment we did that, it put them in a dilemma. What should they do? So Apple and Kendi formed their armies up together. They integrated their armies in this area by the woods and put their forward units into Testudo to slow down any attack by the enemy troops. Now, bearing in mind that those two, it was a gamble for me and Spearman to do that, because if the enemy had completely attacked, all 4 armies attacked our 2 allies, they might have taken them out, but they were in such a dilemma because we were getting above them, getting the ground advantage, and there they were facing 2 integrated armies with forward units into Testudo. So both, as I say, Spearman and myself got in behind and above the enemy troops there with our cavalry and infantry, and the enemy just didn't know which way to do it. Every time they started to move towards our allies' infantry, both Spearman and myself would move down towards them and do cavalry attacks, hitting them, because we had the downhill advantages then. And eventually we went on to actually win this battle, being in Team 2. And as I say, the reason this battle stayed in my mind for so many years is because we were 100% expected to lose this battle. So that's why I think this one stayed in my mind, and we did go on to win. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member 8 Ball, who has bought the Macedon faction, and 8 Ball has got 15 pikes and 4 Cretan archers and 1 fast-moving general armoured bodyguard unit there, cavalry. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member AURILIUS, who has bought the Greek cities faction, and AURILIUS has got 9 Spartans, 4 armoured hoplites, there's the 4 armoured hoplites, and 4 archer units there, or is it, yeah, 4 archer units. He's got 2 fast-moving militia cavalry. Okay, he's got 2 of those, and unusually he's got a cavalry general, a general armoured bodyguard unit of cavalry, which is unusual for the Greek cities there. There's a close-up there of the Greek cities general on his horse. But as I say, very unusual to have a cavalry general for the Greek cities faction. It'll be interesting to see how well that army does. Our next teammate is STEVELONGSHANKS, who has unusually brought the Carthage faction. Now Steve has just got 16 Sacred Band and 4 slingers, sorry, 3 slingers. So 16 Sacred Band and 3 slingers there. Our last team mate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's bought the Rome Scipio faction, and I've got my old army of 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. Now you wait till you see the other team there. As I say, on the face of it, this map is very unfair and could even be called a camper's map, but strategy and tactics can tell in the end. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I just thought to show you here that the only real cavalry we've got is my 6 cavalry units. Okay, the rest of, I think the Greek cities got 2 militia cavalry, and I think our Macedon allies got 1 fast-moving armoured general unit. So the only cavalry we've got in our whole team are my 6 Praetorian cavalry. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how many cavalry the enemy team have got, and what kind of advantage they will have with so many cavalry against our 6. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member AXILIUS. We haven't seen AXILIUS for a long time, and he's bought the Rome SBQR faction, and he's got 13 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay, their next teammate is Brotherhood member LANDO, or Brotherhood member Turbo, a lot of you remember, and he's got 16 infantry. Several of his units are obviously hiding in the woods there, and I like that formation. You'll see the formation in full a bit later on. It looks pretty good. Okay, the third teammate is Brotherhood member Mars, who's bought the Rome Brutio faction. Now Mars has got 16 infantry, including an eagle unit, which is closing there. You see he's got his units in Testudo at the beginning of the battle. There's his eagle unit. So he's got 16 infantry, and he's got 4 cavalry. Okay, 16 infantry and 4 cavalry there for Mars. It'll be interesting to see how well he does during the course of the battle with that army. And their fourth teammate is Brotherhood member BARC, who has also bought the Rome Brutio faction, and BARC's got 6 archers, 10 infantry and 4 cavalry. But look at his archers. Okay, those Roman archers are already elite, and he has fully upgraded them. 9 upgrades, 3 experience strikes, gold shield, gold attack. So he's got 6 fully upgraded elite archers, 10 infantry and 4 cavalry. Okay, so that is a serious army there. I think those archers will be there to target our Macedon ally. Now let's just have a count of the enemy cavalry. So there's 4 there. 4. We've got another 4 there, so that's 8. 8 enemy cavalry so far. I don't think Lando had any cavalry. So 8 and the 6 there. So that's 14. 14 enemy cavalry units. Okay, against our 6. Okay, so the enemy have got 14 heavy cavalry units against our 6. Now it'll be interesting to see how they'll use those cavalry units. Now if they could get those cavalry units above the hill, then they above us at the top of the hill, then they would have the downhill cavalry charges. But just look at the slope of the hill there, so you can see how, if you like, unfair this hill is. But as I say, good tactics and strategy can win for Team 2. Okay, at this stage of the battle I thought we'd have a look at Lando's infantry formation there. So there's his 16 infantry units. Now you imagine the amount of pilers that they can throw into Steve's Sacred Band units. Now remember, Sacred Band units, they can suffer a heck of a lot of damage from Roman pilot fire. You can see Mars moving over to the left there as well, over to our left, and you can see that AXILIUS is moving his SPQR troops up to the left. Now what they may well like to do here is make the most of the ground, try and grab the ground advantage. Now if they could get wide here, if they went wide here on our left flank, they might even look to try and get behind us so that they get the higher ground. It'd be interesting to see how they try to use the ground tactically and strategically. That's why I'm so far up the hill there, to try and stop that tactic from happening. Meanwhile, over on our right flank here, you can see that BARC with his cavalry there have been probably chasing down Cretan archers, or trying to take out as many as they can. But I can see a lot of Brutii cavalry dead there amongst the trees, I think. So my guess is that they were probably targeted by our Macedon allies, Cretan archers, as he probably tried to go in and probably take those archers out. But as I say here, you might be looking at BARC doing a strategic ground movement there, trying to get up behind us, trying to grab the advantage there. Now that may be what BARC may be thinking here. As I say, this map, there's lots more to it than meets the eye in a strategic and tactical sense. Okay, you can see STEVELONGSHANKS cheap slingers here throwing their slingshots downhill against the enemy, but those slingers, because they're the cheap ones, they're not the usual tough slingers that you get, the Balearic slingers. These are the cheap ones. Their amount of damage that they do will be a lot less than Balearic slingers, even from a hill advantage there. Okay, so you can see AXILIUS and Mars moving over to this flank, but it wouldn't surprise me if Lando attacked our Carthage ally there with all those Julio troops to make the advantage there with his pilers. As you can see here, I'm keeping my Scipio troops up higher there to try and stop a possible flanking action there, where the enemy, as I say, might try and get round the flank and up above us, so they get the ground advantage. That's why I'm staying up there. But if I see Steve's under pressure, then obviously I'll move my army down to support Steve if he looks like he's being flanked. But as I say, Lando's 16 infantry there, if you work out how many pilers they could throw into Steve's units there, they could do a heck of a lot of damage before they even get into hand-to-hand combat. Let's say AXILIUS is moving over here as well, and you can see Mars now looks like he's changing his attack trajectory towards the Greek cities. So it should be an interesting battle for you to watch. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can see Lando being his usual aggressive attacking self here, moving forward with his 16 urban cohorts there. Okay, he's moving forward there, obviously to engage Steve's Carthage Sacred Band, because he knows the casualties that he can inflict with so many pilers on Steve's Sacred Band units before they even get into combat. So that's a nice attacking aggressive move there by Lando and his Julii army. Steve has moved down to meet the Julii threat there. If you notice there, Steve moved forward there to engage those Julii troops with a slight downhill charge bonus there. So that was a nice use of the ground there by Steve. But look at the volumes of pilers going in there. It's like blizzards of pilers there going into Steve's troops. Remember, weakening each one of Steve's units there, making them more susceptible to routing with the more casualties that they take. But there is a heck of a lot of pilots going in there into Steve's Sacred Band units. As you can see here, AXILIUS with his SPQR units coming a bit wide. So if you notice, I've moved my Scipio troops down to engage AXILIUS's troops. What I don't want him to do is to try, as I say, do a wide flanking action and get above us. Meanwhile over here, let's just pause again for a second. Meanwhile over here on our right flank, it looks like BARC is looking to do a left wide flanking action here to get above us, to make the most of the ground. Can you see the way he's looking, the way that his troops are moving there? It looks to me like he'd like to try and get up behind us and above us, so then he gets the hill bonuses. His archers, his fully upgraded archers, imagine the damage they can do from a higher elevation being fully upgraded. Plus if he gets his infantry in behind us as well. So that looks like what BARC is trying to do there. So it'd be interesting to see if 8 Ball can try and counter that. Meanwhile here, as we said, Mars' Brutii troops are attacking our Greek city ally. Notice our Greek city ally has got his armoured hoplites at the front of his Spartans there to make first contact with the enemy and take the pilers. Meanwhile here you can see Lando's there attacking Steve's Sacred Band head on. Now, is that a good thing to do? What do you think? Attacking spears and pikes head on? Or do you think you should get round the flank? I can see AXILIUS' SPQR troops there may look to try and get round the flank of Steve. Of course, if he tries that, I will then move my Scipio troops over to link up with Steve to stop a flanking attack. But as I say there, I think attacking spears or pikes head on for a Roman general, especially uphill like they are, I'm not sure whether that would be maybe the best thing to do. As you can see here, AXILIUS and myself are exchanging pilots, but as I've got slightly higher ground than AXILIUS there, my pilots will be doing more damage. But as I say here, you can see Lando really engaging Steve's Sacred Band Spearmen here. And if you notice, Steve's Sacred Band Spearmen are double banked. There, what I mean by that, he's got units right behind there, behind the forward units there. So if their units are pushed back, they're going to be forced onto more spears. So that's a nice formation there by Steve, and he's still got some reserve units at the rear to throw into the fray if he needs be, or if the enemy try to flank. If you notice here, AURILIUS is joined up with Steve, so our Greek cities and Carthage ally have joined up there. Well done to those two. Nice bit of teamwork. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as I say, over here, you can see BARC is looking to make the most of the ground here, doing a very tactical and strategic move here. Look, he'd love to get in behind us here, because he knows that with all that hill bonuses that he would get, it would be a great move if he can get behind us. Okay, he'd love to get up here. And like I said before, imagine what he could do with those fully upgraded archers from an elevated position onto our troops. He could do a heck of a lot of damage, especially against Macedon, as we've seen them before, very susceptible to all kinds of missile damage. As I say here, you can see Mars being aggressive here and attacking AURILIUS' forward armoured hoplite units. If you notice there, Steve's got his units quite tight and close together there. So as I say though, it looks like Mars is attacking head-on spear units there, as well as turbo. Let's see, can you see Steve bringing in some of his reserve units now moving forward towards the enemy Julii troops? And as I say, Lando attacking uphill, spear units head on. I don't know what the rest of you watching this, what do you feel about that? As you can see here, the SPQR general, enemy SPQR general, is trying to get to the flank of Steve. If you notice this, I've moved my Scipio army to try and counter that. Here you can see I've moved down. If necessary, I'll move over even closer there to stop the SPQR enemy charge into the flank of my ally. As I say here, Steve's Carthage Sacred Band fighting the Julii infantry head on downhill, fair enough. And you can see AURILIUS here with his Greek city units facing the enemy Brutii troops here. But as I say, BARC here is making the most of the ground. But can you see the 8 Ball spotted what BARC's doing? If you notice here, 8 Ball's upped his spikes and is now running up the hill here to counter BARC's movement to try and get above us. So this is a nice bit of battlefield awareness here by 8 Ball here doing that. But can veterans watching this, can you see what's happened now? Because 8 Ball's moved his complete army up there. Can you see a gap? Can you see something that the enemy could exploit here? Just look back towards where the Macedonians were. Can you see some enemy Brutii cavalry charging forward there? Okay, as I say, 8 Ball here is countering BARC's infantry and archer movement here. So that's a nice move by him. But let's just pause the game for a second. Okay, so as I said here, you can see what BARC was trying to do was move up here to get away from us. You can see his fully upgraded archers there targeting our Macedon ally. But as I say, his aim was to try and get behind us and above us. So 8 Ball's moved his Macedonians over to counter that. Okay, so that was a nice counter by 8 Ball to try and do that. But look what's happened since he moved away. The gap between him and our Greek cities ally has opened up a massive gap there for the enemy Brutii cavalry to charge in and take out our archers. Can you see that now? We've just got soft troops in there, archers there for that heavy cavalry to smash into. There's even a Greek cities cavalry general there. If you notice over here on the left flank, I'm moving my infantry forward to support Steve there to stop the SPQR general coming in on his flank. But the main thing here, I thought that was a great opportunist hit there by Mars. You could see the gap between our two allies there and smashed in with his cavalry. Okay, so that, as I say, it was a nice move. He's routed several of our archers there. But if you notice here, can you see I'm charging my cavalry in there to counter that. Now Mars quite wisely is pulling his Brutii cavalry back, because not only have my cavalry coming in from a downhill trajectory, but also you've got Macedonians moving back as well. So he's been in, done the damage he's wanted to, and has moved his cavalry back out of the danger zone. Meanwhile here, BARC, seeing the Macedonians pulling back, will continue his march above us. So he will get an elevated position to attack with both infantry, cavalry, and of course those fully upgraded archers. Okay, so this is a nice strategy here by BARC. As I say, when we first looked at the battle, you looked at Team 1 and thought how unfair this map is. But it is a very tactical and strategic map that you can win being Team 2. That's what I told you about the battle that I fought maybe 8 or 9 years ago here. We were destined to lose, but we won. Right, now we know AXILIUS has got cavalry hiding in the woods there. It wouldn't surprise me if he pulled him out to the flank there where he have a higher elevation. So he'll have the downhill charge bonus. Okay, watch out for that. Maybe a bit later on he might bring his cavalry out. But meanwhile here, can you see the enemy SBQR infantry charging into the flank of Steve? I'm going to move my Scipio troops over again to try and close that gap a little bit there. Okay, I can see the Greek city's cavalry general. Can you see the Greek city's cavalry general there? Sat it there a little bit exposed, I thought. But as you can see here, our Macedonian ally has now closed that gap between him and our Greek city's ally. But the payoff for that is that BARC has now got in behind us and above us with all the bonuses that that brings. Okay. And remember, how many cavalry did we see the enemy had? Was it 14 against our 6? Okay. Now, as I say, those archers of BARC's will be targeting our Macedonian ally mercilessly. Make no doubt about that. They will be targeting our Macedonian ally mercilessly. Meanwhile, here you can see the SBQR enemy units there have moved on a left flank in action and have now got basically even with me. I've no longer got the hill advantage, and it's about even there. And you can see he's pulled his cavalry out from those trees there now to come round our flank. Okay, so that's what he's looking to do there. Maybe even looking to try and get above us there. But can you see my cavalry now could be a bit isolated there? And what I'm thinking is, if that SBQR cavalry charge in, moves up there, charge into my Scipio cavalry, BARC could come down with his Brutii cavalry there, and my Scipio cavalry could be sandwiched between those two enemy cavalry. So I'm going to pull my cavalry back out there. They're a bit vulnerable there. I'm going to pull my cavalry back and try and get as close to my allies' infantry as I can. Okay, can you see I'm pulling back there? I think the enemy were all tooled up there, ready to hit my cavalry from both sides. So I decided to do a tactical withdrawal with my cavalry there and pull them back in to the middle of our formation there. Okay, so that's a tactical withdrawal there because I could see the danger. So I got my cavalry back there now, protected from Macedon, protected from my own infantry, and protected from our Greek city's ally as well. Okay, and also if any of the enemy cavalry try coming around that flank, they're going to run into 6 Scipio cavalry with a downhill cavalry charge bonus. Okay, but here you can see, as I say, the Julii enemy general here is really pushing his troops in against Steve's. And you can see, as I say, the SBQR generals move around to our left flank, and his cavalry are looking to get into a higher elevated position. But can you see the Greek city's general, the cavalry Greek city's general, a little bit exposed? And if I was the enemy troops here, I'd be looking to take that Greek city's general out. Okay, but as I say, BARC has taken advantage of the high ground here. Really great tactical strategic move. I can't tell you how good a move that was there by BARC to get in behind us and above us. Right, you can see the SBQR cavalry going for the Greek city's general, and bang, as he smashes into that Greek city's general. That was a nice hit there. Now, how long can that Greek city's general hold against those 2 Praetorian cavalry units? Now, all you want now is BARC to send in some of his Brutii cavalry from behind, and the Greek city's general, I can see the Greek city's general there fighting, is doing well to hold as long as he is there against 2 Praetorian cavalry units. But if BARC comes in from behind with his Brutii cavalry, then that could be all over for the Greek city's general. Okay, can you see BARC's cavalry coming in behind? Going to smash into the rear of the Greek city's general, and I fear that's going to do it. And bang, as they charge in there, and the Greek city's general has now been killed and taken out. So we now lose a general morale bonus there with a cavalry charger. Can you see my 6 cavalry? That would, if I'd have left my 6 cavalry units there, that would have been my 6 cavalry that would have been sandwiched between those 2 enemy cavalry hits there. So that's why I moved my cavalry back. Okay, so that was a good tactical move there, if I say so myself. But you can see the SBQR troops attacking my Scipio troops here. And as I say, the enemy Julii troops here are attacking Steve's Carthage Sacred Band, as they have been right from the beginning of the battle. Meanwhile here, Mars is still engaging the forward units of the Greek cities. There. Don't forget, those Brutii troops would have thrown in lots of pilots. Remember, Greek cities with their 2 hit points will suffer less damage from pilots than other units. Okay, so there's a general overview of the battle at the moment. As I say, I can't tell you how well BARC has done there to move a strategic movement, as I say, above us. And don't forget, those archers are fully upgraded on an elevated position, so they've got a downhill bonus there with their arrows. So not only will those fully upgraded archers be doing normal damage, but they will be doing a lot more damage with the downhill bonus that they'll be getting from up there. So as I say, it was a great move by BARC there, making the most of the ground. Okay, so now you can see we're basically three sides surrounded there by the enemy troops. So as I say, I'm not too sure about fighting pikes or spears uphill head on for Roman generals. I don't know what you guys think. I'm not sure if that's something that I would have done there, but I can see the enemy Brutii infantry going in to attack Steve. Can you see I'm sending down an infantry unit to help Steve? I'll probably send down another infantry unit, but don't forget I'm up against a full SBQR army there, whose cavalry are locked and loaded, ready to charge into my infantry. So if I weaken my infantry too much, then they could do a concerted infantry and cavalry attack onto my troops there. If you notice, I'm sending another infantry unit down there to help Steve. But don't forget, the enemy will be aware of that, and that SBQR general with his experience will probably be looking to do a big attack on my infantry. Now I've moved two of my units out to help Steve. Okay, so as I say, you can still see some of the enemy Julii units routing there, because of course they're fighting uphill. Okay, can you see here, I've decided to move my cavalry out and attack Mars's cavalry. I saw Mars's cavalry were just sat there, so I thought I'm going to move them out and attack. Okay, so now at this time, at this stage of the battle, I'm going to ask you a tactical, strategic, battlefield awareness attack question. Okay, so you're in charge of my cavalry. Okay, so there's basically four cavalry units there. Now what are you going to do with these 6 cavalry units? I've broken out from our defensive formation there. Now would it be a good idea to go around to the left and smash into the side of those Brutii infantry? Is that what you would do? Take the cavalry around there, smash into the side, maybe even go for that Brutii general at the back? Is that something you would think about doing? I'll take my 6 cavalry units around there, smash into the side of those Brutii infantry. Is that something that you would think about doing? Or how about taking her on a wide berth round here, up here, come up round here, get above BARC's infantry for a downhill cavalry charge there into the back of those Brutii infantry? But I think BARC spotted that, and can you see he's brought his cavalry over to counter. And if I move my cavalry over there, I would be in an uphill battle against BARC's cavalry. So maybe that's not an option there. So like I say, maybe back into the side of those Brutii infantry might be the best thing for me. Or shall I take my cavalry out wide and come up round through these trees? Maybe come all the way around here, really wide, and then get above the enemy troops here with my cavalry. Okay, bring them all the way around there, get above there, and then smash into the rear of those enemy cavalry or infantry. But I got a feeling AXILIUS would spot that and bring his cavalry over there and probably engage my cavalry in this wooded area here, with him having the downhill cavalry charge bonus. So that might not be a good thing for me to do. So as I say, if you're in charge of my 6 units of cavalry, what would you do with them at this stage of the battle? Okay, well, let's see what happens here. So as you can see, I'm running around there. I think, like we talked about earlier, I think maybe smashing into the flank of those Brutii infantry there might well be the option. As you can see, I've slowed down there. I'm looking at the options here, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Probably charge it into the flank of those Brutii infantry, into that general. What do you think? Is this something that you would do? Okay, right. Let's just pause again for a second. So just look up here. Right, can you see BARC has moved his cavalry and infantry across there? So that option we looked at, taking my cavalry round the flank to get in behind them, has now been blocked by 2 lots of enemy cavalry and infantry there. So that option's out. So as I say, the best option here maybe is to smash into the rear of that Brutii general. Do you think that's what I'm going to do? Okay, I'm going to take a lot of pilot fire there from those enemy troops. Can you see they're all firing pilots into my cavalry? But no, I'm not going to charge into them. I'm going for the Julii troops. They've been fighting for a long time. They're tired or exhausted. A good smash in the rear might well rout them. And here my cavalry going in now, and bang, as they smash into the rear of those Julii infantry there. Those Julii cavalry have been fighting for a long time. They've suffered a lot of casualties. One good surprise hit could rout them. Bang! See, my cavalry's just charged straight in there and taken out most of that Julii infantry. Let's just pause again for a second. Okay, so that cavalry charge there has taken out most of the Giulio infantry that was attacking Steve. So Steve and those two other Scipio units I sent down with him can come up to help my infantry. But there's a trade-off for this attack. Okay, can you see that the enemy now are doing a concentrated attack on my infantry, and the enemy cavalry has smashed through my infantry and got behind my infantry now into the centre of our formation. That cavalry charge just smashed straight through my infantry and has now come out the back of my infantry formation. As you can see, the enemy SBQR infantry are really pushing hard on my infantry there. But as I say, that enemy cavalry units just smashed straight through my infantry and are out behind us. So with my Scipio cavalry now, I need to get up behind the enemy there, move my infantry up there to help my other infantry units there. Meanwhile, over here on the left flank, you can see that 8 Ball is holding well against the enemy Bruttii troops there. But you can see there's enemy Bruttii cavalry and an infantry unit have got in behind us here on that open part of our battle formation. Okay, our team's formation has got an open spot there that the enemy have got in behind. Okay, and there's a big gap now between our Macedon ally and Greek cities where they could get in. But meanwhile, back to here. You can see here I'm going to have to move my cavalry fast round behind and up above the enemy troops is what I'm going to look to do. But as I say, that those SBQR cavalry that just smashed through my infantry, it wouldn't surprise me if they turned and went into the back of my engaged Scipio infantry there. Right, all the time here you can see Mars moving his Bruttii infantry over to attack Steve. Right, see that SBQR cavalry has turned and charged into the back of my Scipio troops, and bang, as they smash into the back of my engaged Scipio troops here. So my Scipio troops are being sandwiched between SBQR infantry and SBQR cavalry. Now remember, most of my infantry got an experienced stripe on, so they're going to hold longer than if they were just gold shield, gold attack. But under that concerted attack there, they're not going to hold that long. Right, can you see I'm going to charge my Scipio cavalry into the rear of those engaged SBQR troops. But if you notice, the SBQR general has spotted that and has charged his cavalry and turned his infantry to receive my cavalry attack. So I'm not going to do the damage that I was hoping for there. Okay, so pause the game for a second. Steve's moving his Carthage Sacred Band units up, and I'm moving a couple of my Scipio units that I used to help him up there as well. But you can see the enemy Bruttii infantry moving in on us as well from behind. Aurelius is still targeting some of those enemy Bruttii troops there. And meanwhile, 8 Ball was doing well to hold the Bruttii army up above us there. But as you can see, you've got a lot of enemy cavalry here ready to charge into the rear of our engaged troops. If they charge in there, then I think that could be the end of game for us. But as I say, 8 Ball here is holding well with his Macedonians against Bruttii. He may well take his Macedonians over towards us a bit later on in the battle, as he can see we probably need help here. But as I say, remember, in this melee here, the red and the purple and the greens are the enemy. Carthage, the blue Scipii, and Macedon and Greek city is our troops. Right, if you notice here, I'm withdrawing my cavalry. I'm going to lock and load them up a little bit up at the hill there. But the SBQR general will know the danger of my cavalry attacking him from an elevated position. And if you notice, the SBQR general is taking his infantry up towards my cavalry to try and neutralise any attack that I send in there. Okay, he still left a lot of his infantry fighting my Scipio troops and Steve's Carthage Sacred Band, but he's moving a lot of his infantry units over towards my battle damaged cavalry. Okay, so I'm moving further and further away from that SBQR infantry there. Okay, so I've got to pick a target now to use that battle damaged cavalry as best as I can. But as I say, you can see the enemy Bruttii troops here closing in on our Macedonian and Carthage ally here and attacking my Scipio troops as well. This is a nice bit of teamwork by Steve. As soon as he saw the danger, as soon as I took out those Giulio troops he was facing, he turned his Carthage Sacred Band to come up and help my infantry against the enemy infantry there. Nice bit of teamwork here. But as you can see, the game is really in the balance. Now, bearing in mind that where Team 2 started in this battle, look how well they've done by using good tactics and good strategy on a map. Really, if you look at it at the beginning, they should have had no chance on. But look how well they're doing. If you notice here, Steve's starting to lose some of his units here. I've only got a few of my Scipii infantry units left, so I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to hold. If you notice here, I'm sending in some Scipii cavalry there, looking to target that SBQR general. I just haven't got the numbers. Bang! As it smashes in there, just have not got the numbers there to cause the damage that I wanted to try and take out that SBQR general. And 2 of my cavalry units have been stopped by BARC's infantry. He saw them coming in and neutralised them with his infantry, so nice move there by BARC. But as you can see here, remember the enemy are the green, the purple and the red. We are the blue and Carthage there and Macedonians in that particular area. Okay, so you can see I've got one man left in my general unit. Let's close in and see if we can see him. Okay, so my general is the only guy left in my general unit. Okay, he's the only one left, and as you can see, he's surrounded by enemy troops. So how long he's going to last, I don't know. But most of my infantry units have now been taken out. I've got some battle damaged cavalry units that I'm trying to use the best I can. But if you look at the enemy numbers here, you can see, I think, which way things could go here. As I say, most of my, you can see the Brutii, enemy Brutii infantry charging, as well as the SBQR infantry. Okay, see this clump of Macedonians and 2 of my Scipio units have just been routed here by the enemy troops. So that's 4 more of our units have just been routed there. So, as I say, things not looking very good for our team at this stage of the battle. If you just look at the numbers here, you can see the enemy are causing us a lot of casualties. Right, I think now all of Steve's Carthage Sacred Band, all of his Carthage army has now been taken out. Okay, my Scipio general's just been taken out, and a lot of my Scipio units have now been routed. I think I might have 1 Scipio unit left now. That's all I've got. Just pause again for a second. So as you can see, Steve's general's been routed, my general's been killed. So all of those units, all of Steve's is gone, and I've got 1 Scipio unit left with 22 men in. That's all I've got now in the whole battle. Aurelius has still got several of his Greek city units left, but they're exhausted and battle damaged. And you've got BARC closing in on our Macedonian ally, and you've got the Brutii and SBQR troops probably going to close in on our Macedon ally as well. So 8 Ball there with his battle depleted units there. I've got to try and hold against all that. Aurelius, as I say, is moving his exhausted, battle damaged Spartans over to try and help in the battle here. But as you can see, things not looking very good for our team. As I say, all of Steve's Sacred Band has now been taken out. And as I say, I've got 1 Scipio infantry unit left with 22 men in. You can see enemy cavalry getting in behind us as well. I notice BARC has been moving his army around very tactically and strategically around that hill. Nice move. They're making the most of the ground. So well done to him. But as you can see here, 8 Ball there is holding really well with his Macedonians. Now remember, those Macedonians have got very low morale, and if their general is killed, which has just happened there, then their morale will drop like a stone. And if they feel they're surrounded or outnumbered, or they're starting to lose the battle, they can rout en masse. So we need to watch that very closely there. You can see the enemy troops there really jumping in on our Macedon ally. But a lot of our Greek city allied troops here, like as I say, very tired or exhausted here. Maybe they could move up to help. Okay, that's good. Our Macedon allies just killed the enemy Brutii general. So that's good news for us. Right, you can see I'm charging in some Scipio cavalry, and bang, as those battle damaged Scipio cavalry units charge in there. I'm trying to kill either the Brutii general or the SBQR general there if I can. I've routed the Brutii general unit there, but I just didn't have the numbers to do the damage I wanted to there. All my cavalry are battle depleted. As I say, I think I've got 1 unit left now, and my guess is that unit will be routed pretty soon. As I say, 8 Ball's doing an incredible job with Macedon. Remember, when you're in charge of a pike or a spear faction, micromanagement and speed is essential, and I think he's done extremely well there with the way that he's handled Macedon. But as you can see, a lot of enemy troops have surrounded his Macedonian spearmen there. Our Greek city ally may well start getting some Spartan units over here to help our Macedonian ally, who is, as I say, being surrounded by enemy troops there from all sides. That's my last Scipio unit has just been routed. Okay, my last Scipio unit has now been routed, so I have no more units left to use in this battle. Okay. So at the moment, with Steve and me out of it, it's just 8 Ball with his Macedonians and Aurelius with his Greek cities. That's all we've got left. Right, can you see a lot of the Macedonian pike units are starting to rout from the pressure, and bearing in mind there, as we said, their morale is very low, and they're starting to buckle now under the pressure of the attacks coming in on them. As you can see, Aurelius has brought some of his Spartan units over. I think 8 Ball's got 2 of his pike units left. That's all he's got left now. Right, let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, remember the enemy are the green and the red. Okay, the green and the red. And that's all that's left of them there, and we are the Greek cities and Macedon. Okay, at this stage of the battle, so it's green and red against Greek cities and Macedon. As you can see, our AURILIUS there is bringing over Greek city reinforcements at this stage of the battle. But if you notice, his Greek city units have been surrounded. They're being attacked from the rear and from the flank as well. So as I say, this game is really in the balance at this time. But you can see BARC moving his Brutii units round, looking to get in behind the Greek city units there. So that's a nice move by him. Another Greek city unit's just been routed. As I say, I think it looks like 8-Ball's got one pike unit left there. And as I say, AURILIUS is bringing his Spartan units over here to try and hold. But as you can see, BARC moving his infantry round there, getting in behind our Greek cities ally, trying to attack their flanks or rear. Okay, so I see 8-Ball's Macedonian unit that was in the fray there has now been routed, but I can see he's got another unit that has just rallied from being routed, coming back into the fray. Okay, he's attacking that to SPQR General there. But as I say, you can see the Romans here making the most of their flexibility here, getting in behind the Greek city units, attacking. Right, there's 2 more Spartan units that have just been routed there. Okay, so that's another 2 Spartan units gone. Just look at the numbers here. If you look at the numbers game, they've got Brutii and Julii General still left, giving their troops morale. You've got an SPQR General there attacking that Macedonian rallied unit. But as I say here, the enemy were looking to go into the rear of those last few Spartan units. And as I say, I think we could see... as I say, Team 2 starting from what looked like an impossible, insurmountable kind of job from where the position that they were in. Looked like they've done extremely well there, and probably gone on to to win the battle here. So as I say, at the beginning of this battle, when you saw the disadvantages that Team 2 had against us up on that hill, could you guess that these guys could do so well as what they've done? I mean, they've done absolutely brilliantly, I think, in such you know, a strategically loaded map against Team 2. So really well done to them. As I say, there are a lot of Spartan units are starting to rout. The enemy are attacking very tactically there, holding and pinning the Greek city units, and then getting infantry units in behind those units there to rout them. So it's nice use of tactics here to attack the Greek city's unit. There's another Greek city unit that's just been taken out. So as I say, this battle will go right down to the wire here, but just a shout out, incredibly how well done Team 2 has done here. As I say, at the beginning of the battle here, you could see the disadvantages they were up against, and yet look what they've done with great tactics, great strategy. I think they've done really well here. As you can see, they're going to get in behind these Greek city units now, probably just to finish them off. Let's say 8-Ball's rallied one of his pike units and brought it back into the fray here. I think all the units that are fighting now are either tired, very tired, or exhausted at this stage of the battle. So things might be going down to the wire for this particular battle. It'll be interesting to see. Right, you can see here, can you see how AURILIUS now has turned the tables here and is coming downhill? He's got the uphill advantage now, and he's moving his Spartans downhill against the enemy Brutii troops. Okay, he's got a slight hill advantage now, and he's going to make the most of that by moving down. I can see Brutii units starting to rout. Enemy Brutii units are definitely starting to rout now. I see BARC taking a unit up behind our Greek city's ally with a view to charge in behind. And see how he's moving units forward there to pin and hold the Greek city units there while he can get units up round behind them and attack in the rear of those Greek city units. As I say, nice tactical move there by BARC. Say he's moving his units forward to pin and hold the Greek cities there while he can get units round the side or round the rear to charge into them. Nice thinking there, but as you can see, the Greek cities have definitely got the hill advantage now. And are now fighting downhill against those Brutii troops. Okay, you can see that Brutii unit there charged into the back of that Greek city unit. You can see our Macedon ally spotted that and is moving that battle damage unit over to try and neutralise that. There you are, that Brutii cavalry charge into the back of that Greek city unit there. But I can see more of the enemy Brutii troops starting to rout at this stage of the battle. As I say, this is going to really go down to the wire, this battle here. You can see BARC's put one of his units into Testudo, but that unit is extremely battle damaged. Only 18 men or 16 men in that unit now, and the Greek city's unit is moving in on that unit there. That probably unit will now rout, I would think, pretty soon. Okay, that's the Brutii general just been taken out, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Brutii unit started to rout here. As I say, that was a nice move there by Aurelius there. He grabbed the higher ground advantage there and moved in as a Brutii unit. Bang! Charge into the back of that Spartan unit there. Remember, those Spartan units are so tough with their 2 hit points and their excellent morale. They just turned and faced that attack. As I say, you can see a lot of the Brutii, enemy Brutii troops starting to rout. Let's just pause the game for a second here. Very exhausted and very tired Greek city units. I just want to show you the extent of the battlefield here. Now, do you remember all the way over here? You can see where a lot of enemy cavalry and our cavalry there have been killed at this particular part of the battlefield. As we move up onto the hill there, you can see the clumps of dead start to get more. There you can see that's where Macedon was holding out against Brutii, but just look at all the Macedon dead. You can't see many enemy Brutii troops amongst those Macedon dead, so that's where they've been piloted and arrowed so badly that they've lost all those troops without causing any casualties to the enemy at all. You couldn't see any enemy Brutii troops dead amongst them. And here, as we get closer into the main part of the battle here, you can start seeing the clumps, the massive clumps of enemy and allied dead there. Okay, so you can see how intense the battle was here and how tactical and strategic it was. As I say, I don't know about attacking pikes or spears head on from a downhill position upwards. I don't know whether that was a good tactic or not there, but I think Turbo must have been very confident with his infantry there when he did that. But as I say, you can see there's just some battle damaged Spartan units left who are probably exhausted, and there's just that Brutii, I think that Brutii general unit left now. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Greek city general just upped spears and charged his Greek city units down with their swords into the rear of that unit. As I say, 8 Ball still got that 1 battle damaged unit left with about 8 men in. But as I say, Steve's and my troops have been taken out a long time ago. So well done to Aurelius and 8 Ball there with their spear and pike armies. Okay, so our team has managed to eventually go on and win the battle there. But as you can see how very close it was, and bearing in mind the advantages that we have there, I mean, I thought Team 2 did extremely well. Right, as you can see there, it is a close victory there, as you would expect, with just a few battle damaged units left. Okay, so it is a close victory there. But I'd just like to draw your attention to the highest kills in the game, and that goes to Brotherhood member BARC. 1,788 kills. Now, I wouldn't mind betting that a heck of a lot of those were archer related. With those fully upgraded archers, he got up onto an elevated position targeting Macedon there. As I say, I bet a load of those were that. And also Aurelius there, good kills, 1,748. So really good kills for Aurelius as well. That both of those, both BARC and Aurelius did very well. I think Mars had some good kills, as well as AXILIUS, 1,606. So well done to him. I think everybody had some really good kills in this game. Let's say I really do think we may have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat there, because at one stage in that battle it looked to me like we were definitely losing. I don't know what you guys thought. It definitely looked like we were losing there. As I say, I think we did snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. As I say, whenever you're Team 2 on this map and you look up at the enemy troops there, straight away you think you're going to lose. Okay, there's no getting away from it because of the advantage they got. Okay, so just like to say, really well played to Brotherhood member BARC, well played to Brotherhood member Mars, well played to Brotherhood member Lando, and well played to Brotherhood member AXILIUS. Great attack in there, guys, and really and truthfully there, you could have won that battle. It was that close. And bearing in mind you were Team 2 with all those disadvantages there, really well played. Tactical and strategic moves there, great. But also I'd like to say really well played to Brotherhood member STEVELONGSHANKS, Brotherhood member Aurelius, and Brotherhood member 8 Ball. Really well played, guys. You held well there. Some good tactical moves, some great team support there, so really well done to you. As I say, this map stayed in my mind from 8 or 9 years ago when we were expected to lose, 100% expected to lose, but we turned the tide on the enemy and we managed to win being Team 2 from all those years ago. That's why it stayed in my mind. Spartan Commander saying bye for now and see you soon.